Hello everyone and welcome back, albeit not on my channel. I'm here with Daniel, Maverick Hunter Daniel. I'm GWVillager. You may know me, but if you don't, well, you can find my channel, I think, in the description, or if not, it's just by the same name as I've introduced myself with. Today, we thought that we'd be looking at railway stations and which are our favourite and least favourite of each Department for Transport category. So, if you don't know, the Department for Transport organises all the railway stations in Great Britain into a series of categories from A, which are your major national hubs, down to F, which are your sort of unstaffed country halts. There are some good and some bad, and we thought we'd talk about them today.
Indeed, and this is totally not our second attempt at recording because I forgot to get the volume levels correct. No, this is our first attempt. Don't worry. So we're gonna start We're gonna start from category A, and then work through our way down through B, C, D, E, and F. We're gonna combine category D and E together because they're effectively the same. And whilst there are also subcategories like C1 and C2 and F1 and F2, those two will also be combined for the sake of convenience, since again they're effectively the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll be doing our favourite station from each category and the least favourite station from each category, with explanations and justifications, and hopefully we can do it a little bit quicker than last time, as we got to about an hour and 20 minutes.
Do you want to start this time, or shall I start this time?
Well, I started last time, so if you want to start this time.
Yeah, why not? So for category A, my favourite station in category A, I'm actually going to change it from what it was previously. In my original recording, I went with London Bridge, but I'm actually going to go with London Cannon Street this time. I've changed my mind.
Ooh, okay.
So,
Why?
for starters, I prefer... Well, I wouldn't say prefer the aesthetics of Cannon Street, but I just like it's very modest looking. It's very... what's the word I'm looking for here? Refined seems... It's not really extravagant, but it doesn't need to be overly extravagant for what the station is. It's a very small terminus. Well, it's only got 7 platforms. And...
Yeah, I mean, for a London terminus, it is tiny.
It is, very. So whilst it is kind of small in that aspect, it also has pretty good connection because you don't have to walk stupidly far before you reach wherever you're going to. The District Line and Circle Line platforms are just a couple staircases downstairs or a lift down. It's directly on the streets, and also it's got a good amount of platforms because yes, it only has 7 platforms, but they are utilised sensibly well. Plus, the station does get more intercity longer distance services during the peak hours, since it's used as like an alternate instead of Charing Cross, so it helps take away pressure from Charing Cross. And plus it's on the river, so you can get some good views of, depending on how high you can lift up your camera, you can get some good views of the river at the end of the platform.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to feel about Cannon Street. I find it quite forgettable. I've been there once, it wasn't very special. The platforms feel a bit dingy. It's like a Liverpool Street if it were tiny and worse. But I prefer Charing Cross myself, but I suppose if you're actually using it, then it may well be a lot more pleasant. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame people for or even you for thinking that. I just wanted to change my option from London Bridge. I really just wanted to, because I like London Bridge, but I was thinking I could pick a better option than that. So, please.
Fair enough, I suppose.
Yeah. Feel free to tell us your favourite Category A station, please.
Well, I haven't changed mine. It is London King's Cross, which is, I would say, a combination of all the great things you want in a Category A station. It's got a lot of history, it looks amazing, it's simultaneously modern and traditional in parts, it's very spacious, it's well equipped, there's loads of shops, it's first-class lounge, plenty of room to wait for your train, good information screens, and of course you're not held back for 40 minutes before departure as you are at Euston.
Indeed.
And you can actually breathe on the platforms too, because they're not underground, they're in this huge beautiful canopy. It has enough space as well for not just for the passengers, but for the number of trains that are using it. It is basically everything you'd want in a major terminus, and yeah, I think there's enough said there.
Certainly, King's Cross does everything. I bet if you go to the right platform, they'll even do your taxes for you. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. If you go to platform 0, you go back in time.
And of course, well done for not making a Harry Potter joke.
Yeah, yeah.
In fact,
Oh, yeah, yes.
I've already done one better, which I'll show you a picture later on, but I'll post it up on screen here anyway. So our least favourite category A station, no shock whatsoever. Euston.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah,
We both picked Euston because this is a horrible category A station that has just
It
gotten
is.
worse over the years. No, every
Yeah.
option they're taking has made it worse. The HS2 construction has resulted in the sacrificing 2 extra platforms. The garbage destination display of departure boards in the waiting area, which is so small it will make a rat feel like it's claustrophobic.
Yes, it's
Very-
completely disproportionate.
Yeah, and the connection with the tube is awful as well.
Yeah, you've got to go outside, then back in.
Correct.
Yeah, no, and of course it looks really ugly too. There's no real redeeming factor here. The only nice thing is the first class lounge, which is pretty good, but nothing else is any good. It is a really miserable station, very unpleasant to use, and yeah, as you say, it's got quite a bit worse.
Indeed. There is one aspect of Euston I will give credit for. I will give credit for the track layout regarding of how it sort of splits, of how can I describe how intercity trains departing from the eastern side of the station don't physically cross over the tracks and block all the lines because they use a sort of fly under towards the end of the station. That's good. That's one good thing I will give Euston out of 87 things I hate about the station. So, no big deal with that. No shock.
No, I mean, there have been some very small improvements recently, like the advertising board has been turned off.
Oh, hell yeah, definitely. Thank goodness.
Yeah, and they've started a new policy where they're now letting you board your train early.
Wow.
Like Avanti trains, I think you can now board 20 minutes before departure, which they should have been doing forever, basically.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
They only just recently did that? I thought every other operator did that. What was Avanti wanting to be special?
Yeah, Avanti, what they were basically doing until now, more or less, was last second boarding. Sometimes even after the posted departure time, they were just withholding the platform information, and then, like a minute before it was supposed to leave, there was a actually quite dangerous crush to get into the platform. And of course, there'd been quite a bit of talk. I don't know if you'd heard, but the Gareth Dennis, railway engineer, he was fired over it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What a shock.
Yeah, it's been
That is horrible.
it's been a big story, and it has now reached an unsatisfying conclusion, but a conclusion nonetheless.
Well, hopefully whenever High Speed 2 is opened.
If/when.
Yeah, is/when opened. Maybe they'll recreate the arch? Question mark, maybe?
There was a plan for that a long time ago. In practice, it's probably gone.
Yeah, they probably left back in the changing rooms, I guess. I know the drill.
Yeah, because they scaled down the plan for Euston. They were originally going to rebuild the whole station and make this big, beautiful roof and put the arch back in. But it's been scaled down a bit. So I believe the current plan is to not actually do anything to the existing Euston, to just build the HS2 station on the side, which will only have 7, 8 platforms. I don't know. Let me just check that actually. It's an HS2 platforms. 6. Okay.
Oh, 6? Oh,
yeah, that's not going to be enough.
No, it will be enough. It will. They'll just, let them suffer. Let them suffer the consequences of their actions. I'm fed up.
Let's try and get 2-minute turnarounds.
If First Group have any in charge, have any part of it, they'll find a way. They'll find a way to do that. So, Category B stations. My favourite Category B station is Reading. My reasoning for this is that whilst the bus interchange at Reading is not the best, as it is just a row of bus stops on a curved street, and that's if you know which bus you're looking for, the track layout at Reading is significantly improved and compared to what it was in the past. The original Reading station layout was garbage, and there was almost no sort of sensible fallback for delays or having trains depart at the same time in the same direction. It was horrible, and trains had to go slowly as well. But now trains can go through really quickly. Like for example, nowadays, if there are a few trains that GWR run that do run non-stop through Reading, and they can pass through.
Really?
Yeah, there are. I can't remember which one, but I know one of them goes non-stop, with the first stop being either Swindon or Didcot Parkway. I can't remember. Some local will correct us, but they do run some services that run non-stop through Reading, and they can go through at 85 miles an hour. Perfect.
Pretty good.
Very nice. I mean, okay, sure, it's not 125, but 85 is still pretty good.
Better than nothing.
Definitely better than 50 or 40 as it used to be.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, I mean, I agree. Reading is a nice station. It's fine to use, I guess. I don't use it that often, but I have used it on occasion, and yeah, it's spacious. I think it could do with a full canopy across all the platforms.
Yeah, I could sort of.
But
I think I could agree on that. I do like the canopies already, though. At least if you want full like canopy, like shelterish, you can always just go onto the top of the sort of footbridge there, where there's shops and stuff.
That is true. Yeah, I suppose the thing with Reading is that the overbridge functions almost as a concourse.
It does in a way, yeah.
Yeah, and like, I don't mind that. Yeah, it's a good station. I do like it. There are definitely worse places that you can change at.
Agreed, certainly. So, what's your favourite Category B station?
Well, my favourite Category B station is Hull Paragon Interchange, and there are several reasons why I like it. First of all, looks amazing. I love the various complete canopies. There are, I think, 4 stretched out, which is quite remarkable. They're immaculately maintained. But perhaps the best thing is that, as the name suggests, it has a bus station properly integrated with the railway station. It's under the main roof. It's under the main train shed. You just walk out of the train, and there are all the buses lined up. It's a wonderfully laid out station. Very pleasant, very well maintained. Serves all its needs. Does them very well considering the size of the town.
Indeed, yeah. When you first told me about this, I was really shocked to know, like, to see the bus station properly integrated with the train station roof. I thought that's amazing, and more stations should do this. And
absolutely.
It's more sad that they don't really.
Well, yeah, especially seen as in the 1950s and 60s and 70s, of course, a lot of I suppose trackage under train sheds was removed, and is now either sitting empty or as a car park or taxi rank or something. It would make a lot of sense to put the buses in there. I think Darlington's probably a good example of that.
Yeah, good point on there. So I definitely agree with that. I mean, I do make jokes about Hull every once in a while, because, you know, ha ha ha, North, LOL. But I do think Hull Paragon is a pretty good looking station. I would love to go there, but it does require going on Hull trains or Transpennine Express, which aren't exactly things I want to do. No offence.
Well, I'd definitely go with Transpennine.
Oh.
Yeah, it's... yeah, I don't... I mean, Hull is a nice place in general. They've been doing quite a few impressive things, really, with local government. They really aren't afraid of standing up, I suppose, to the powers that be.
Well, that's good, at least. Alright, so, yeah. I'm actually going to make another change once again with my Category B, because I completely forgot about this station when I was first doing my research about this, but my Category B, my least favourite Category B station is Barking. I've changed my mind.
Barking.
It used to be Southampton Central, but then I remembered, oh wait, Barking's Category B? Oh, I hate Barking Station. Awful. Oh. Now, Barking does a lot of good things. So, there are 8 platforms. Well, no, 9 platforms, technically, facing 8 tracks. Okay. So, it's got a lot of platforms, and there's a pretty intricate, cool sort of flyover junction towards the western end of the station, so that the underground doesn't conflict with the overground and C2C and freight trains. So if you want to see a good amount of variety and you're doing some photography, Barking is great. But everything else, it's such it's a dreary station. It's so, I'm trying to think, like, the appearance of the station is very dreary, like, the building there, and granted they're trying to redo the building as we speak, but again, trying. Like, it's
Yeah, I
still
mean, looking
going.
at it, it needs that.
I try to
There
think.
looks to be a sort of abandoned office building next to it.
Oh yeah, that's definitely still abandoned from if I think unless they knocked it down because one of the two.
I know it was still up there in 2022 because I'm looking at Street View and it's looking very sorry in 2022.
Yeah, definitely feels like definitely that. I mean, the interior of the sort of interior of the station building as well sort of just reminds me of like a bazaar almost. Just
Oh yeah, I
it's
see
sort
that.
of, it doesn't look very pleasant. I mean, it really doesn't look as pleasant as. I mean, just to give you an example of like the aesthetics of this station, for a while there was a station sign still with Network Southeast, and
Oh wow,
whilst I
yeah.
do like Network Southeast, them not updating it for this long is usually a sign of we don't care.
Yeah, it's not a good look, is it? The I do quite like the roof. Is it concrete or wood?
Oh, good question. Well, if someone throws a brick one day, we'll be able to work it out. That's bound to happen in parking. So,
Probably already has happened.
yeah. I just don't like using the station. I don't think the main platforms have step-free access. In a way, I mean,
Oh
there
dear,
are sort
not
of
good.
lifts. No. There's a ramp at the London end of the platform, so you can still go through that subway. But it's a very dreary sort of subway, and I don't know if they have installed lifts yet or not. But other than that, either way, I just don't like. I hate using the station. I hate the area. I hate using the buses around here because it's also served by the East London Transits.
Oh yeah. The Boris Masters are painted in orange flowing lines.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never been on it. Is it any good?
Okay.
I'm gonna take that as a no.
Okay, here's the thing. If the East London Transit was a trolley bus network, it would probably be excellent. But
Okay.
it's basically like my first bus rapid transit system ages 3 and up.
Okay.
That's the best way to describe it. Like all you need to do, basically, if you ever get the chance, go to Dagenham Dock Station and then change for one of the routes there. That's all you have to do, and then when you're asking where's the bus stop, why is it here, then you'll know how good it is or not.
I see. It's one of those. Yeah. I will say I do quite like how Barking has that sort of London almost tradition of building a street on top of the bridge over the railway. You don't really get that elsewhere, but the buildings just carry on over the bridge, which is quite interesting. I like it.
Yeah, indeed. So, what was your least favourite category B?
Yeah, my least favorite category B station is Oxford.
Oh, yes.
Which is in terms of, well, footprint, I guess, considerably smaller than Barking. But footfall-wise, I imagine it's probably busier. The thing about Oxford is everything is bad. It is completely unsuitable for the place it serves and the volume of traffic that it serves. It's two main through platforms. There are two terminating platforms. The terminating platforms are fine, but the through platforms are the real problem. As you've got terminating GWR stoppers, you've got the GWR file services to London, the file services up to Worcester, the cross-country services down to Reading and Bournemouth and Manchester, and they all come through the station. It's chaos. There isn't really much predictability, I suppose. Where do you stand on the platform? The stop markers don't really make much sense. Trains either stop way further forward than you expect or way further back, and as a result, loads of people who are standing around expecting the train to stop there just end up being 5 miles behind and have to run on, and then they inevitably get on in the last coach, which is overcrowded whilst the front is empty, etc., etc. It's just a really bad station. The concourse is tiny. The architecture isn't very inspiring, which is a particular shame considering how beautiful really the city of Oxford itself is. And there's freight traffic going through all the time because we have no idea what a bypass is in this country. No, yeah, I kind of understand why you maybe wouldn't want to put a bypass around Oxford, in, rail bypass that is. But there's a little bit of dead land either side of the station. It should have been rebuilt ages ago. Just put some more platforms in. But no, the rebuild was cancelled.
No, I'm afraid we can't have anything sensible. Sorry, we've run out of that. I've used Oxford a couple of times, and I'm pretty much in the exact same seat as you. I hate Oxford Station. It does. It's mainly just the two through platforms. Like, there's not enough. There needs to be 4. It really needs 4.
Yeah, and something I didn't mention too. It's just really tired and dirty. Like there's still First Great Western branding around. It feels like they just forgot about it in 2012 and like haven't done anything since. Yeah, very dirty. The footbridge is pretty grimy. It's like covered in mold. It's just not very nice. There is I think only one station I like using less, and that's Bristol Parkway.
Oh wow! Well, I've never used Bristol Parkway. Yeah, I've never.
Yeah, keep it that way.
Oh.
Yeah, but that's mainly because the platforms are so narrow, and I'm somewhat willing to excuse Bristol Parkway as it's not that important. But the thing with Oxford is you get loads of tourists going there, and is that a really good impression on the tourists?
Not at all. It's
no,
horrible.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, it's when you compare it to other stations like Bicester Village, for example. Bicester Village makes a good impression on people, especially tourists, because it attracts so many tourists to that area. It makes a great impression, but if you're going to Oxford for the day, a perfectly harmless thing for tourists to do, they arrive at the station and they think it hasn't aged since 1987.
Yeah, they arrive at the station and immediately suffer hell.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So yeah, is that pretty much what you covers for Oxford?
Yeah, that is all I have to say, I believe.
Yeah, okay, then sure, brilliant. So, for my favourite category C, again, I'm not happy with my option, because I tried thinking of another one, but I'm still not really happy with this, but I'm going with it. It's West Croydon.
Okay.
Again, I'm still sticking with West Croydon, so my reasoning for West Croydon boils down like this. I don't like Croydon, let alone West Croydon. However, the station itself has a good amount of trains serving it, about 6 or 8 trains an hour-ish. It has a good connection with the local buses, with the bus station right next to it, and the tram line is right next to it, with both frequent buses and frequent trams. So it's got good connections and good services. Aesthetically, it's awful. It's awful. All it needs is, I mean, it couldn't be worse if it has like a Londis or a Leica Mobile next to it, which it probably does if I go back and check. But quite frankly, though it's from an operational standpoint, it's a good station. But I don't. Yeah, that's the mindset that I have. But I know there are better Category C stations. In fact, you're going to list one that I agree is probably better. But I'm just trying to think of it from this perspective. I'm sorry.
No, don't worry. I've never used West Croydon.
Please don't.
Maybe if I did, I would completely agree. But the way you're talking about it, maybe I shouldn't.
No, Croydon is a depressing town. I don't like it.
I imagine it's considerably less depressing than, well, much of the rest of the UK. But I will say, I really, really, really like the canopy on the bus station, the sort of rusted metal, and the sign.
Well, yeah, it's
nice.
better than the old bus station, as I shared a picture with you earlier. It's certainly better than that. And it's also one of the few bus stations in London to have a ticket machine.
Wow.
Where you can
Are they not?
No, they're very uncommon, very uncommon. But you can top up your Oyster and do that kind of stuff there.
That feels like it's pretty important if there is no cash ticketing on board.
Well, it is, but, here in our... Surely, as a Brit, you must know that whenever you're presented with a problem and you need help, the correct way is to go, you're on your own, mate. Surely, you must know that.
Yeah, I suppose, but I do actually think we're quite a bit better at that in this country than many other places. I suppose in France, for example, in Paris.
Oh, good luck.
Yeah. I mean, they no longer accept paper tickets on the metro.
Really?
And Yeah, I believe so, and they just discontinued them like that, and staffing too. Like, if your ticket doesn't work on the Paris Metro or something, tough. There's no one there to sort out the gates. Whereas in Britain, at least if there are gates, there will be someone there to help you. And the backlash against the withdrawal of paper tickets in London has reversed that decision. So we are better at it than many other places, but still, yeah, no, it's in some ways, I guess I shouldn't be surprised by that.
Yeah, fair enough then. Yeah, I can see what you mean by that then. Okay, so what is your favourite category C station then?
My favorite category C station is a Leamington Spa. Yeah, architecturally, it's unique, I guess. I'm not a massive fan of Art Deco in general, but I think it really works with the Leamington Spa. And the main thing is the platforms. Oh, the platforms are so pleasant. They still have their original Great Western canopies, I believe, and they're immaculately maintained, wonderfully painted. The station is designed in such a way that all the traffic that's using it can comfortably navigate its way through. It's actually quite a similar layout to Oxford, but just done better, I suppose, and with fewer passengers, so it doesn't feel quite as oppressive. There's a nice little cafe on it. They store bicycles on the platforms, which is great. Not only do I think it actually looks pretty good, it also means you don't have to load your bike up like 10 miles away and then walk it along. You can just bring it directly onto the platform. It's a really lovely little station. It's got some nice gardens. It is one of the most pleasant stations I've ever used, really, and it definitely is what I'd expect. It's definitely what I'd expect from a Category C.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. I've used Leamington Spa quite often. I do like that. The only thing I wish is for one of the bay platforms, I think platform 4 if I remember correctly, I wish that one was a through platform as well instead of it being a bay, just for a little bit of extra flexibility, because when there are disruptions, well, you don't really have much. The track layout doesn't allow for too much flexibility, but other than that, I do like Leamington Spa. And as you mentioned, it's a very pleasant station. Very pleasant platforms. I like it.
That does seem like a good idea.
Certainly.
Extending that through platform.
As I mentioned in our last recording, one thing I mentioned in my this route, this station was featured on a train simulator route from Just Trains, and there was an error with one of the signs of it being deformed. And I always laugh at that every time I go through Leamington Spa. But not too long ago, about almost effectively a month ago, I went to Leamington Spa and I saw the same sign again, but it's starting to deform in real life. Maybe this is a premonition that the train simulator one was an error, but it's also true. Who knows?
Life imitates art.
Exactly. So, yeah, definitely, I really just find that really funny. So, for my least favourite Category C station, Wembley Central I'm going to go with. Wembley, I hate Wembley Central so much, and this is not factoring, events, because that's not really fair. Like, the station is bad because it serves Wembley Central.
I would say, by the way, I think it is pretty fair, seeing as that is, like, the clues in the name. Surely one of the main purposes of the station should be to handle events, but...
Actually, no, you mentioned it. No. That's a good point, though. That's a good point. Like, if a station is bad at doing the one thing it's designed to do, then yeah, that would be a good angle. But that's not my reasoning for disliking the station, though. Because, to give it credit, it does have an additional footbridge to handle the extra football and event stadium goers.
That's good. And of course there is a separate Wembley Stadium station.
Correct. So it's not like, there are 3 stations to choose from if you're going to Wembley. So frankly, you're spoilt for choice in the UK.
Yeah.
So that alone is a fine. It's that the underground and this aesthetic inside of the station just feels so grim. So grim in on the platforms. Granted, I can sort of accept that in a way, but then, from my being the transporter that I am, you can't transport on platforms 5 and 6, where you would see the slow trains and the freight trains. You can only stay on platforms 1 and 2, because, platform 5 and 6 are closed off when a train is not there, because of turbulence.
This is so annoying.
It is.
Yeah, you mentioned this before. Like, I feel like you've designed your station wrong if you're not allowed on the platforms. Which is, of course, one of the main purposes of the platforms. It's a little bit like a Euston situation. It just makes using the station unnecessarily painful.
I
Really
know.
annoying.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's because what they normally do, I think, now is that you wait on the sort of footbridge-like area where there's maybe a bench, singular bench, you can sit on, and then 5 minutes before your train arrives, they let you downstairs. To the
Yeah,
platform.
I just don't like that.
Nah,
And of
it's
course,
horrible.
they have built a city on top of the station, which is interesting. Again, very much in the London tradition. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about it.
Indeed. Another issue with the station worth bringing up is that the platform height on the Watford DC platforms is, well, this is the same for all of the other Watford DC platforms. It's sort of like they've tried to find a sort of halfway acceptable level between it not being too high from the overground and not being too high for the underground, not being too low for the overground.
Yeah, yeah. It's a very awkward situation where you have to step down to enter the train.
Indeed.
I'm not a fan of that.
Nah,
But I suppose
there
you
isn't
make
really
do with
anything
what
else
you've
they
got.
can do. Yeah, there's nothing else they can really
No.
do with that, so I can't be too
Beyond
angry.
creating a new tunnel.
Money.
Well, yeah.
TfL can barely afford their own like a slice of bread. You expect them to rebuild the station again?
And they're buying BYD buses, which are usually fine, but the BYD B11s or BD11s,
Oh, really? I
they're
didn't know
not
about
fine.
this. Wait, BYD.
Yeah,
I didn't hear about
BD11.
this.
They look atrocious.
That thing. Oh my
Um,
goodness.
yeah.
God.
They've also
Oh.
got some. They've also got some single decker versions. Let me try and find them. Yeah, they have a weird slanted front, a little like the Enviro 100. Just uglier.
Why is the
Uh,
why is it overhang? Why is the front of the bus overhanging the driver like that? That looks so odd. It's like the guy who was in charge of the top deck got the length wrong, or he was reading it out with Chinese whispers or something.
yeah, it's it weirdly this is something that kind of all buses in Ireland seem to have. Well, not necessarily in Ireland, in Dublin at least. Buses are specified with a weird overhang, and I've been trying to figure out why. And if anyone knows, please do let me know in the comments because I would like to know. But they do seem to overhang just like these BYD buses. No idea why though.
Yeah, that's such a weird thing. Yeah.
So the worst category C station, in my opinion, is Gloucester.
Oh yes, Gloucester.
Yeah, Gloucester.
Oh, the
Architecturally, a masterpiece.
when compared to like a hospital from the 1970s.
Yeah, it looks like a sort of school that has RAAC concrete that is about to be demolished. Yeah, it's not a very pleasant building, but the platforms themselves are neither particularly busy. Of course, it has the famously stupidly long platforms, which are over half a kilometre. They are desolate, not very interesting. There's no real shelter. Like if you have to walk to the end of the platform on a rainy day or on a boiling hot day, good luck.
Yeah.
You try not to get heat stroke / hypothermia, depending on what the weather conditions are.
There is a reason why the platforms are long. Do you know why?
They like to use several different services on the same platform.
Well, okay, that's
But-
sort of it's sort of that, but the main reason was that when they were doing Gloucester when they were redoing Gloucester in time for the HSTs, when they were brand new, and I can't believe I'm saying it like that, but whatever. When the HSTs were brand new, they wanted to have two HSTs occupy the same platform at the same time.
Why?
Don't look at me. I didn't come up with the idea.
They thought that the most important thing is that we run two intercity trains together in multiple.
Okay, they're not going to run them. Okay, that would be physically a challenge.
It would be.
But
I suppose because they don't have multiple unit capability, you just have to have someone in the rear unit with a radio, and it's like notch 4. I keep using notch 4.
no, it was more like the station can occupy 2 at once.
Yeah, I see. I just don't know why.
Well,
But okay, I suppose if they wanted to do some weird reversals, but again, I think the platforms are two-way anyway, so you could just use both platforms. But okay, sure, whatever.
Well, the HST used to go to more places than just London. Don't forget that.
Oh yeah, no, I know, but that's what I mean. Like why would they terminate a train at Gloucester unless it's going to like Cardiff? But in that case, they could just use the other platform. So I don't know.
Reversing a train.
Yeah.
Right, going to Bristol. Yeah, carry on. Yes, why don't you like Oxford? Why don't you like Gloucester?
Yeah, so, well, the station itself, for one, is pretty bad, but also its connections. Now, sure, it's right next to the bus station in Gloucester, which is a very nice bus station, by the way. But to get to it, they're rebuilding the car park, I think. I don't exactly know what they're doing. And you are no longer able to just walk straight across the car park and to the bus station. You've now got to take a gigantic detour, which is not very pleasant at all, and really does ruin the walking and travelling experience. And I have missed trains before as a result of it. So it's a station that feels as if it's designed without the passenger in mind. And, well, actually, I don't know who they prioritise. Not even operational simplicity. It's just kind of there.
Yeah, it definitely feels. I think the way you were describing, you're having to walk around the long way around through the car to avoid the car park, sort of reminds me of like in an old RPG video game where the main characters have to take the long way around instead of the normal way because of some contrived plot element. That's very, very accurate for here.
You just sort of run into like an NPC on the long route. Gives you some plot direction. If that is the case, then I've not yet encountered them, but oh well, maybe I will one day.
Well, it's it's the local. I guess I don't know. Maybe there aren't that many druggies in Gloucester. I've never been there. That's probably the NPC we're talking about.
I don't know, about average, I would say.
Fair enough then. So yeah, that's your least favourite Category C station.
Yes, it is.
Good choice. I've not been to. I think I've been through Gloucester once, but I was on a rail tour, but I didn't get off. I just went through there. So for my favourite Category D/E station, I'm going to go with Crystal Palace. Again, this is more of a sort of choice by elimination rather than OMG. I love this station. I just think I think it's a pretty it's pretty well designed station in its current guise. It's got 6 platforms. You do how can I word it? I do sort of like the brick architecture with the station and the new canopy that's added across the sort of bay platforms as well. So it's got some good flexibility, and it's also not that far away from the bus station. There's a bus station on the top of the hill. Of course, there used to be another Crystal Palace station, but that's obviously been lost to the sands of time.
Yeah, I mean, the Crystal Palace station looks remarkable, really, considering what it really is. I mean, it's not a very big station, but it is beautiful, and there's some really beautiful architecture.
Yeah, certainly. The old... I'm not sure... I wasn't really a fond of the old sort of booking office and station area, the green sort of booking office thing here. So I think they've demolished that when they were reopening.
Yeah, I believe they have. I'm looking at some photos and it isn't there anymore.
Yeah, they definitely demolished that and replaced it. But other than that, it's I like it. I like Crystal Palace Station, though I haven't been to it for ages, mind you. There's probably a reason.
Well, yeah, I've never been to it. So.
Well, it's sort of near the. It's not too far from Croydon, so that's probably another reason as to why.
Well,
that's just personally with me. So, what about you? Favorite Category D/E station?
Yeah, my favorite Category E. It is a Category E, but also applies to D&E. Is Hebden Bridge. Hebden Bridge is a gorgeous little station. It's everything you'd really want for a small, unmanned facility. Sorry, a small manned facility.
Yeah.
It's got 2 platforms. not very big, but it's got a wonderful canopy. It's got some beautiful flower displays. The staff are friendly, and the station is well located. It's not particularly accessible, but there are always people on hand to help. It's a wonderful little place and a very homely station.
It is. I really like how that station looks. I really do. I've never been to that area before. I mean, the closest I've been to Hebden Bridge, I believe, is Huddersfield. But
Yeah, it's not that far, not a million miles away.
well, I feel like it's
Yorkshire
the
area.
direct train. I think you can get. Unless I'm thinking.
I think there is. Well, no, I'm not sure because it's on the Hebden Bridge is on the well, it's on the Leeds to Manchester line via Sowerby, Halifax. I think I can't remember. It does have a name.
I know which line you're talking about. I just couldn't remember.
Calder Valley line. Is
Calder
that it?
Valley. I think it's on the Calder Valley. But
And does that go to Huddersfield?
I thought there was like a branch that goes to Huddersfield on towards like that sort of turns off before going to Muirfield or something.
Looking at the map, I think there is, but I don't know if any services run along it.
Yeah, well, someone.
Because the main ones I know are Leeds to Manchester Victoria via Halifax.
Certainly, yeah. Again, someone will correct us if that's the case. I can't remember, but other than that, yeah, I haven't been to the area, but I do I like how that looks. It definitely looks like a station I wouldn't mind waiting for a train there for.
Yeah,
That's a good way to
it is a
describe
nice place.
Okay, so least favourite category D/E station. I remember you were shocked when I picked it in the first recording, but here it goes. It's cafes. I'm still going with cafes.
Yeah,
Look, my reasoning being is that this is one of the busiest, I believe the 10th busiest station in Wales. I believe.
Third, isn't it?
No, 7th.
No,
No, it's
not
the
third.
7th.
Seventh.
It's
Okay,
the
yeah.
7th
Sorry,
most
I didn't
used.
think it was.
Yeah, that's
third,
fine.
Yeah.
It's the 7th most used station in Wales, but there's no wheelchair accessibility, and I mean, when I look at that station, that doesn't tell me busy station. That tells me halt or station. We might as well just put this here. Oh, you don't even get lifts or subway.
Well, I mean, obviously this is our second recording. Well, unfortunately, the first one didn't. Well, there are problems with the sound, but for those of you who weren't there, which is everyone apart from us, my reaction to this was one of great shock and surprise and disbelieving.
Yeah.
Disbelievement. I don't know. Lack of belief. It was. I don't quite know how to word that.
No, that's fine. That's fine. They'll understand.
Cathays feels, yeah. I mean, relative to many other stations in Wales, Cathays is fine. Like it's staffed. It has ticket barriers. But yeah, actually, on second thoughts, I can definitely see that. It feels wedged in behind some back streets. It's very dirty, very messy. Facilities are basically non-existent. They could have done a lot more with it, and yeah, as you say, for such an important station serving so many people, it really deserves something a little more substantial.
Exactly, because it's also right next. It's right next to like the university, I believe, the University Union.
Yeah.
So it's not exactly like a station that people wouldn't just use or anything. So it deserves a bit better. If you can't afford lifts, what about a ramped subway or something like that, or sort of?
Or just a ramp on a bridge. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, just. It's so ridiculous. Just making the station look a bit more presentable would help. And more shelter as well, because I'm counting a grand total of one small shelter on each platform, which...
Yeah, I believe that's correct. It's the little bus stop shelter things, so...
Yeah, can't spend too much money in Wales, as we know.
Yeah, no, none at all. Yeah.
Certainly.
Oh, well.
Well, yeah, there you go, that's my number... But, no, that's not number. My least favourite in category D&E. So, please pick your one.
Okay, yeah, my least favourite category DRE station is one that actually I don't know the classification of for certain, but I think that it's category E, and that is the quite new station of Thanet Parkway. Yeah, it's ugly. It's very ugly. It's just kind of a wall of steel and brick. It's very hostile. If you want to try and access it, you've got to cross this gigantic car park. There are theoretically supposed to be bus services, in practice, I don't believe any of them have started yet. They may have done. I could be wrong, but I don't think they have. Um, yeah, it feels like it uses far too much space to do very little. Yet, for some reason, the platforms have the complete opposite problem, which is that they're tiny, and I have no idea how platforms this narrow were deemed legal on a new station. This feeling of claustrophobia is enhanced by the sound barriers, which aren't even transparent, and they're very tall. So, sure, you're on a lovely embankment, you should be able to get a nice view, but you can't. You get nothing. You just kind of have to tower there and hope that you're not pushed onto the track by the turbulence of a passing 395. Yeah, it's a really quite miserable station, and for a new building, we should be able to do a lot better than that.
Yeah, totally. It's just, it's every time I look at the station, I just start laughing because, Network Rail don't want to have any extra sections of. They don't want to lay any more third rail, which is why Merseyrail has had to have battery trains just to get to Headbolt Lane, stuff like that. Yet they look at really this annoying. And they go, not bad.
Yeah. I think they absolutely have to relax that third rail ban.
They really need to, because it's also screwing over the North Downs line.
Yeah, because I understand their concerns, but realistically, we are not going to see the entirety of the southeast converted to overhead wires.
No,
and if we want to actually make any meaningful progress on electrification, we have to actually electrify, and it makes by far the most sense to just do the third rail on the small gaps that still exist.
Agreed. Still, yeah, I'm not a fan of the station. I don't like how it looks. Even the station exterior with its one solo bench facing the other bench, sort of like like a sort of.
I mean, Leah, what are you going to do on that bench? It's who would sit down there?
In the middle.
There's no shelter. Yeah, it's there's no view. There's no shelter. It's facing the wrong way. Well, yeah, it's not been designed with the passenger in mind.
A very good choice, certainly. So let's go to my favourite Category F station. Now, on my original one, I picked a station which I felt very guilty of because it didn't really count. So I've looked through very hastily and I've decided to pick another station. Even though I've never been here, I wouldn't mind going here if I ever had the chance. Although that's wholly dependent on money because it's all the way in North Wales. I will pick for my favourite Category F station, Conway.
Oh.
So,
okay.
And this is mainly from the aesthetics alone. I like the castle there. I like how that looks. I really like how the sort of there's like a cool factor of that because you're going into like through castle walls. That's cool. Yeah. I like that. Okay, the service is a bit crap, but name me a station in North Wales that doesn't have a crap service.
Bandit Junction.
Okay, that's not served by intercity trains. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
But the point still stands. It's I really like how it looks.
Yeah, Conway. It seems fine. I've never alighted a train there, but I have been through it many times. It's okay. I certainly wouldn't call it my favourite Category F station. I don't really like how they've just got a big car park right out.
Okay, that sort of ruins them. I can agree that sort of ruins it. Honestly.
Yeah, and I think it could do with a few nicer buildings. But the castle does really help. And I can see that. It's a reasonable station, but definitely not my favourite.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I just realised there's another Category F station I could have picked. I just realised. Hang on, if I can just double check to make sure I can actually go with this. Yeah, I realised I could technically I could use this as a runner-up purely because of its name. You know which station I'm going with, but from me to saying that. It's another one in North Wales. There you go. I am not saying that again. Yeah, that. Technically, that's an F. That's a Category F2 station, and I could get away with saying that's my favourite Category F station. But I just love the the sort of castle walls at Conway.
Yeah, I mean, Sunfire is definitely not the finest category S station out there. I mean, it's a request stop for one, and sure, the station signs are quite cool, but it's definitely not what I would call the optimum category F station. But what I would call the optimum category F station is Earlham, and the reason I like Earlham in particular is it does what I think all small stations should really be doing, is where if the railway itself cannot support buildings, it cannot support infrastructure, it cannot support, well, I mean, it is the infrastructure, I suppose, but it cannot support infrastructure beyond its basic existence, then it should try and become a sort of community centre. And what that means varies, of course, place by place, but it should be a place people go for something other than just travelling by train, and that kind of acts as a little bit of an advert in a way. Now, Earlham does this very well, as the old station building, which had been disused for some time, has been converted into a pub, a restaurant, I think. It's a sort of gastropub. And it's lovely. It's been restored immaculately, and it's always quite lively, and it really does help bring some really good, good vibes, I suppose, to a station that would otherwise be pretty desolate. But yeah, no, we need to be seeing a lot more examples of establishments opening up on stations like this.
I agree. I think that looks really good, honestly. I think I've been through Earlham once, but I don't think that was most likely before that opened. When was that a recent sort of conversion?
That was I think 2015.
Oh,
yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, Earlham is on the Manchester to Liverpool line via Warrington. It's on the outskirts of Greater Manchester. And actually, I'm just realising now that we probably should have given a brief outline of the location of these places.
That would have been a good idea.
For people who don't know.
People can just, people just Google them if they're pausing.
Yeah, you can Google them.
Yeah, don't worry.
Yeah.
That's a good idea, though. Oh wow. Still, I really like how that looks like a scene. I really like sensible use like that. Like, I can think of another station, Frimley, where its station building has been turned into like a nursery in private ownership.
Ooh. That's good. There's quite a lot of that in Belgium. Though, to be honest, I would probably prefer if they just kept the ticket offices open as they did in Belgium. As they used to in Belgium, but they've now sold off a lot of the ticket offices and are using them as cafes, or well, not cafes, but yeah, nurseries, things like that. Mm.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. I'm just trying to think of like sense, try and keep it in use rather than demolish it.
I would still say it's best to keep it in the hands of the railway, but if you genuinely cannot support a ticket office or railway use, give it out to the community as a cafe or whatever. Just don't lose it.
Well, how perfect is this then for leading into my least favourite F1 or F2 category F station? Which, to the shock of most people, no, it really should be shock of you because I already told you, it's Pilning. I hate Pilning.
Yeah, Pilning. Mm.
So, for Pilning, it's not actually located anywhere reasonably near the town of Pilning, or village of Pilning, a settlement of Pilning. It gets a whopping 2 trains a week, so you can't use it for commuting. It's only in one direction because they got rid of the footbridge. Because, as we know, when you're installing electrification, there's nothing you can do. Absolutely nothing. You can't raise the footbridge. You can't build a subway. And no, that costs money, man.
Well, be careful what you wish for. If they were to do it now, what they'd do is just stop the electrification across the station and have it as a dynamic electrification.
Well, look at the benefit of that. No 387s to Cardiff. Thank goodness if that was possible. Unless you want
it would mean more ITs.
That was true. I mean, granted, they probably can't build like a subway because if they did that, the Southern would just instantly go, "Oh hell yeah, free space," and fill that in. So that's probably not a good idea. But other than that, this station is just like it feels like a joke station because.
It does. Particularly the fact that it runs over the River Pill itself.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't even know there was a River Pill. I know there was a town called Pill.
Well, it's I don't believe it's actually called the River Pill. It's just called the Pill.
Oh, of course.
But it's more a stream than anything. I think it's man-made. But yeah, it's where the town got its name from. It's a very weird station. It shouldn't exist. It's just got a parliamentary service, but I I guess it's a quirk of the system, really.
Well, it's had this parliamentary service for ages, and I really think at this point, you have to sort of go, well, why? Well, I think a connection, a station that offers a decent walking connection to Southern Beach could be a good idea. Because if the Southern Beach line was extended to Pilning, it could be a nice alternative. Because if you're on the train and you're in Newport and you want to get to Avonmouth, or you are forced to go all the way to Bristol and then back down and back on yourself to get to Avonmouth.
Whereas, yeah, well, I completely agree. And maybe even if you were to extend it, I mean, there are a lot of houses in the way, so exactly how you go about this without demolishing everyone, I don't know. But if you were to, it would be quite nice to create a sort of loop line that would run up from Severn Beach, down through Pilning, and then past Bristol Parkway to Filton Abbey Wood, and sort of loop round and run a two-way loop around the Severn Beach line and the sort of main line north.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I mean, there is one way I could think of it, which would be tram train. But if something, I don't think tram trains work here as well as they do in, let's say, Germany or...
No, and I think it would be a real shame to sort of nerf the entire Bristol suburban network just because you need to go over one road for 10 metres in Severn Beach. Of course, that's what they do in Seattle.
Yeah.
It's basically, they've created a full sort of grade-separated metro, but there was one section where they didn't want to pay to run over a street, so they go through the street, and now they have to use trams everywhere. But obviously they need more capacity, so in reality you end up with like 8 car trams, sort of all coupled together, and it's a really unusual system and an annoying one.
Fair enough then. So yeah, well, that either way, it's not the best station service, and also it's very hard to get to as well. Like there's no nearby buses, and I'm also the laziest human in the world, so I don't want to walk an hour. So you can't do that. And there's barely anything parking wise, and Pilning bad.
It's not very good.
No. What is your least favourite Category F station, GWVillager?
Well, my least favourite Category station is also in the Bristol area. This one has a much more substantial service. I think it's 1 train per hour. Could be wrong. And that's Portway Park and Ride. Now, it's another new Parkway station. The thing is, though, this should have opened 20 years ago. The Park and Ride site opened in 2002. They received approval in 2012 and funding in 2017, and it's finally opened last year. Thing is, though, it costs £5.8 million, which for a station you think, okay, reasonable, until you see what it actually is, and it is like a slab of concrete. It's not very long, it's not very big. It's a very, very modest station, and it's simultaneously underbuilt and overbuilt. Why are there so many poles? Like, do you need that many streetlights?
Of course you do.
and none on the ramp
you
to get onto the actual
platform. You need to scare all the hedgehogs away.
Platform.
How else are we going to make them endangered?
Yeah, that's true. And also, instead of putting the speakers on the street lamp poles, no, they need separate stands, separate poles, and they also need to be placed 10 meters apart for whatever reason. And we need one bus shelter, nothing else, and everything has to be made of exposed metal because nothing can look good. It's really, really annoying. We should be doing a lot better than this. But apparently there's too much work, and all new stations have to be ugly and useless and expensive. So, oh dear.
I was, when you were telling me this, I was just so, like, in shock of just how, well, garbage this station is. Because I think I went past it when they were still building it, because I made the mistake of going on this line for my, one day. I got off at Avonmouth. I hated Avonmouth station as well, but Pilney, Portway Park and Ride's even worse because it's new and the costs don't make sense, and it also has 800 parking spaces. And
well, because it was originally a bus,
Park and
a
ride.
bus park and ride, with the intention of opening the chains, but of course it took forever. But yeah.
Also, just to correct you, it's 2 trains an hour. Though I don't fault you for
2 trains an hour. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah, it's,
don't know if the service is still that really dumb thing where it was where it was a 20-minute gap then a 40-minute gap. Because I
think
remember
it probably is. Yeah.
because the
I don't
passing
think
loops
they
aren't the
changed the timetable.
best. Yeah, it's really awkward how they do that because it's not as easy to remember as for every 30 minutes.
No.
And of course,
Yeah, no, that is annoying. I mean, it's probably because of pathing in Bristol, but I mean, suburban trains around Bristol are a world in and of themselves.
Yeah, they deserve their own talk. And yeah. Especially since you have to suffer with the class 165 or 166 depending on how lucky you are.
I hate them. I hate them so much.
Oh, you poor thing. I could tolerate them when they were running in the Thames Valley, not so much when they were doing London to Oxford. But
oh, yeah. And now Portsmouth to Cardiff. Hooray!
Yeah.
So hopefully the 175s should solve that.
Are you
and
sure
that should
about
release. Well, I don't know. That should release 158s to Portsmouth to Cardiff, but whether that actually happens, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, because you are. I wanted to say that you are effectively relying on a train known to be notoriously unreliable as the savior.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's it was a dubious decision, but if they think they can get it to work, I'm all behind them.
Yeah, there's using super glue and then there's using Tesco own brand Pritt stick. I'm just saying. But yeah. Was there anything else you wanted to say about Portway Park and Ride?
Well, no, I believe I've exhausted it, but there is no doubt another series of complaints that can be made by people who are more familiar with the station.
Certainly. Let's just. Well, yeah, I completely. Yeah, I can agree with your suggestion. Metro West could certainly look a bit better for Metro West than it is currently. Either way, thank you very much for joining me in this little collaboration of going over our stations list. If you agree with all of our suggestions, that's great. If you disagree, you can keep your mouth shut. I'm kidding, obviously. Just feel free to engage. Actually, there is one station I'm surprised none of us brought up, even on both of our recordings. And I was curious if
Which one?
More specifically for Category A, I'm surprised you didn't bring up Birmingham New Street.
Yeah. So I was debating whether to go with New Street or Euston. In the end, I went with Euston, as New Street, at the very least, has a good concourse, and isn't that unpleasant to use, given the recent refurbishment. Well, I say recent, it's like 2012. It's still a very bad station, and I would say, almost without doubt, the second worst Category A station in the country.
Yeah.
But I think the small blessing that is the concourse does save it from taking the number 1 spot.
Yeah, okay, I can agree on that at least. I was kind of curious, yeah. For me, I was sort of just trying to not use New Street, because I thought that would have been too easy. I don't like New Street at all. I really
I don't like New Street.
I hate
Not
how
a very nice station.
Yeah, the buses are just, you have to basically use a treasure map to find the buses. I hate the coloured green concourses, because I get it makes sense, but it's annoying if...
No, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all.
Actually, you're
Just
right.
say
No, it
this way to
doesn't.
platform 10B or whatever.
Yeah, I really hate that. And they got barriers in front of them, meaning if you want to make the harmless decision or have to go for the back. I hate that so much.
If you want to go to upper crust and buy a £15.12 you've got to buy a ticket. And no, I don't want to.
Oh, it's ridiculous. And plus, the 10-mile-an-hour speed limits, you could jog through the New Street faster than a train. It's horrible.
Yeah, it is. And of course, the fact that the West Coast Main Line North has 2 tracks out of New Street. And in fact, actually, the Cross City Line heading south, which is also used by, of course, the cross-country trains, amongst many others, still only 2 tracks. It's bad.
It's the bottleneck of bottlenecks, to say, and that's the best way you could describe it. Still,
Yeah, I can't wait for Curzon Street and the expanded Moor Street to open if they ever do. I mean, Curzon Street's going to open, but if as part of the Midlands Rail Hub, Moor Street gets larger, that will help a lot. But I don't know if it's going to happen.
well, I don't see any pigs flying by my house yet, so we'll wait. Let's just wait and see. Still, thank you very much for joining in my little collaboration again. These are always fun to do, and we've definitely got more planned in the future. We'll say that for sure.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.